Good morning and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Buddy. Just a quick shout out to The Rec for hosting this podcast each week. The Rec, way more than a bowling alley. We drop a new podcast every Friday morning with a new story that will impact someone. We hope that someone is you. Thank you all to the listeners each week who take the time to hear the stories of our guests. Please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast, give us a review, and share this podcast with your friends, family, and on your favorite social media platform. We want to get these messages out to the people and to impact the world one testimony at a time. This morning, I'm excited and grateful to introduce you to my friend and guest, Jack McAllister. Welcome, Jack.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Dude, it's awesome, man.
It's great.
Well, hey, you and I have ran into each other a little bit. I know you went to high school at Sprague, and we kind of ran in the same circles just because I have daughters your age.
Yes.
So, but you and I, where did we see each other?
French press.
French press.
Yeah.
That was recently, but even before then. Oh, you know what? You responded one time to, hey, let's do this podcast.
When you announced it.
Yeah.
I will be honest, I was totally joking, and I said, hey, I'll make up stories and be entertaining, but I'm more than happy to be here, and I'll tell the good stories because I have a few now. So.
And then we saw each other at French press,
great.
A month or so ago, and here we are. So
let's do it.
So Jack, I'm going to introduce you, tell a little bit about what I know about you, and it's going to be a great conversation. I can't wait. So let me do a little introduction real quick. Here's what you say. I'm a guitar player, learning piano. That's cool. I'm interested in ventriloquism. Did I say that right?
Say it 5 times fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Ventriloquism.
Ventriloquism. I have a professional ventriloquist figure on the way. That's funny.
That's been like 12 years in the making.
Okay.
That I've been wanting one.
Okay.
And then a year ago I got it ordered, and I'm still waiting for it.
Okay.
So there's that.
Okay. In the process, hopefully becoming a Polk County Sheriff's Deputy. We'll talk about that and uncover what that really means, because there's some news that came out about that. You're a novice poker player. You enjoy spending time with your wife and family. You're trying to start a family. And you're learning to lean on God when struggles get difficult, not getting hired somewhere, career struggles, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's dive in a little bit. I know you because you went to high school at Sprague.
Yep.
And when did you graduate?
17.
17. So are you 24?
Same as Molly.
Same as Molly. Okay. Perfect.
I don't know if we're the same age, but we did graduate.
And when's your birthday?
July of 99.
Okay. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, let's dive into a little bit about Jack. I have some questions for you, but walk us through a little bit. Where'd you grow up? What are some of those early life lessons? I know you got married to Tiffany. You've been married for what? How many years?
2 years.
2 years. Time flies.
Right. Yeah. 2 years last July.
And we're going to just dive into life.
Yeah.
So give us the early years of Jack and what makes you Jack?
It's like an interview, huh?
Kind of.
Is that what we're doing?
Well, I'm a curious guy. This is really what I love doing anyway. I want to know all about somebody. But I have to understand where you came from to understand who you really are and how you're wired. So
that's what we're here to do.
Just out of curiosity, man.
Okay. Well, like I said, I was born in 1999, 90s baby.
Yeah.
I was born in Salem, raised in Salem, went to school in Salem all through elementary school to high school. Graduated from Sprague, and then moved out right after I graduated. Didn't like the apartment life.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough to move into a duplex together, me and Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
I started at Shemeketa. Just kind of goofed around, was trying to figure it out. I knew I wanted to be in law enforcement or something of the sort, just public safety kind of in general, whether it was just some kind of first responder, whether it was firefighting or, law enforcement or whatever. Got through Shemeketa, got accepted at Western Oregon University after doing a little bit at Shemeketa, and then enjoyed my time there. Was just doing school, focusing on that. When it got a little bit easier, I got hired in the Western Oregon University Public Safety Office. I did some, basically it was just like kind of remedial office stuff, and then like dispatching their public safety officers. Really enjoyed that. Kind of fell in love with the quote unquote private public safety field. the brotherhood of kind of the public safety field.
Yeah.
I just love.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. It's just, I was never big into sports, and I always thought sports were the same way. Just, it's a lot of brotherhood and a lot of learning about each other and building bonds. So Western was just like that. We'd sit and hang out and talk, and then public safety officers would go do what they need to do, and then they'd come back and hang out. So that job was really fun. And it was good for me because I got through doing homework and stuff while I was at work, because I am at school. I may as well do something, so I enjoyed that there. Ended up, I didn't lose the job, but when you graduate, that job isn't available
goes
anymore.
Away, yeah.
Yeah, it goes away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So right before I graduated, I was just scrolling Facebook, and I was like, oh, Spirit Mountain Casino. Oh, they're hiring for security. Well, whatever. Let's try it.
Yeah.
Didn't think anything of it. Thought, it's just going to be just like Western, fun, loving, chill, Got an interview the next couple days later. Got an offer right after the interview. Went in and started, and my supervisor, who still is my supervisor, he said, we're really like a little city in here. And I just thought, yeah, okay. It's just mall cop, basically. That's what I thought. Yeah. And then, time went by. Day 2, well, night 2, technically. We were dealing with this gentleman that really didn't behave very well when he had certain liquids in his body. And it was time for him to leave after, several years of him being an issue. And, day 2, like I said, nose to nose with me, trying to fight. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say fight, but he was there.
Yeah.
We were kicking him out. They just kind of threw me to the wolves and said, well, here you go. Figure this out, because I did have a little bit of public safety experience. And I guess I didn't mention I was a cadet here in Kaiser for several years. So I had experience with, public contacts and stuff like that. And the casino knew that. So they said, all right, here's your chance to learn. And that was just really eye-opening, because it's like, yeah, it really is like a little city in there, because there's, the casinos downtown, and the lodges, the neighborhoods, and, there's fights in the lodge, and there's people stealing stuff, and people getting hurt, and people needing medical attention, and all that. So that was really eye-opening to be like, okay, well, let's figure this out. I'm learning how this all works. One thing led to another, that just the way the shift was staffed, I was really, really fortunate to get promoted to a supervisor, a substitute supervisor and field training officer position. And so about 6 months in, they said, well, here's a trainee. Get to teaching.
Okay.
And I thought, why? I barely even know my own job. But I mean, that's how I've learned my job so well, is teaching other people.
Isn't that the truth, though?
Yeah. I'm really fortunate in that sense, because I definitely feel much more confident.
Yeah.
I used to just have conversations with myself that's like, what are you doing? You have all this quote unquote power that I don't know how to handle so-and-so when they do this or that, but I've just learned by explaining it to people, and them clicking in their brain helps it click in my brain, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's enjoyable. And I've been sent to so many different education courses and training classes and certifications from the casino that, not a dime out of my pocket, that I've done, crisis intervention, team stuff with Polk County. They certified us in that. And then I also got my emergency medical responder license, which is, there's like a first aid CPR certified, and then an emergency medical responder, and then, an EMT basic is right above that. So that jump is pretty big from EMR to EMT. But, I've got stuff that I can do. I'm learning all kinds of things medical wise, and it's honestly, kind of the way it's worked. I would change my career tomorrow, and go into the medical field. It's just a lot of education that I don't think I'd be able to go back into.
Okay. So you may or may not become an EMT, is what you're saying? Or
yeah, I mean, it's something that I could just jump into. Shemeketa has programs for it. I could just go back to school and do it, and it would be great. But it's a lot of education and time I don't really want to make for it.
Right. And right now, maybe that's not the right time, but maybe down the road, it's something you might consider. At least the door's open to that.
Totally.
Well, this is kind of good to understand who you are, Jack, because I know you, but I don't know you that well. I don't know. So walk me back a little bit. How did growing up, parents, what was that like? How did your parents influence to who you are today? Did you do sports in high school?
Yeah. So I could talk about the casino and my job all the live long day, but prompting me to that is probably smart. I didn't do sports in high school. I did a lot of theater.
Okay. Awesome.
Did one musical, I think, actually with Emily.
Okay.
We did Sound of Music.
That's right.
My freshman year, her junior year. Enjoyed that. Didn't do any other musicals because I just really liked focusing on the shows.
Yeah.
The plays because it's comedy to me, and usually the theater teacher at Sprague did a lot of comedy stuff. I enjoyed that, kind of learning about how that works. Opened my mind to, oh, hey, let's focus on this. That's not something that just anybody can go. Not everybody can go to Hollywood and get famous, but that would definitely be neat to be able to do. But I did enjoy that while I was at Sprague. Performing is just enjoyable to me.
Okay.
Same thing kind of rolls in with the ventriloquism thing you were talking about.
Right.
I've practiced that forever, since elementary school or middle school. I've always wanted to do that, but it's hard. It's not something you can just do overnight. That takes practice.
Is there like the ventriloquist, would you ever see yourself at the Elsinore Theater in downtown Salem with a show? I mean, have you ever thought that big? Like, is that something you want to do?
I've thought about that a little bit. Everybody can dream and everybody can think about it. That's something that I would probably have to really, really focus on it and, really go all in on it. I go through so many hobbies so constantly. I mean, I'm probably like normal people, but even in the wedding vows with my wife, Tiffany, she said, I promise to stand by you through all your hobbies, whether it be, poker, ventriloquism, knife sharpening, all these different obscure hobbies that I feel they're obscure. All these different hobbies that she's bumped into over the 9 years we've been together.
9 years.
That's 9 years, a long time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I going all in on that would be cool. And, going from a little Salem to the Las Vegas Strip obviously would be amazing. But no, well, I don't. I got a family to think about and stuff. So
doesn't mean you can't still dream a little bit.
It's true.
It sounds like you're a dreamer and like to think about those things. But you also play guitar. So tell me how long you've been playing guitar. I
do play guitar. I've been doing that since I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
The elementary school I went to, Sumter, the music teacher there was kind of triple threat, singing, guitar, piano kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was always just really entertaining to me. Again, kind of back with the theater thing, just grew up with musical theater and musical movies and stuff like that, movies made from musical theater shows. And I've just always loved it. It
sounds like your creative side, like you're a creative guy, and that's how you fulfill that creative part of your life.
Yeah. I try not to leave too much time open.
Okay.
I always say like, I'm going to sit down and play video games, or I'm going to sit down and get busy. I say I love video games, they get boring really quickly for me. Music always keeps me busy. If I sit down and I'm focused on that, I could do it for hours. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Okay. So you go to Sprague, you graduate in 17, you and Tiffany are dating, you go to college. What sparked you to decide, hey, she's the one? Because I want to really talk about this Gen Z, these, I've got a couple Gen Zs in my house, or like raised a couple Gen Zs. There's a lot of thought about Gen Zers. I happen to really love Gen Zers. You guys are creative, you're thoughtful, purposeful, and you guys aren't always given that credit. But walk me through, though, that journey of deciding Tiffany's the one. How'd you know, Jack? Because a lot of guys, I don't know, they don't know that. They still, but you're probably 21 at the time. You guys get married at 22. You're now 24. Is that kind of the?
Yeah, I was. She had She was 3 days away from turning 25.
Okay.
She turned 25 on our honeymoon, and I was 2 weeks away from turning 23.
Okay, got it.
Or 22.
22.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we were fairly young. I feel like that's fairly normal for high school sweethearts. It happens. I don't know. I couldn't pinpoint the exact time. It was like, okay, we're going to get married, but it was definitely just like the relationship in its entirety. She has been there and the little voice on my shoulder every single thing I've done, whether it was, again, seeing on Facebook, oh, the Kaiser police are hiring, cadets. If you're 14 to 18 or 14 to 21 years old or whatever it was, come apply. And I was like, cool. Okay. Get my foot in the door. We live in Kaiser now. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then same with the casino, same with school. I would not have a bachelor's degree if it weren't for my wife, girlfriend, wife at the time.
So she makes you a better man.
100%. And I know that's so cliche, and I always roll my eyes before.
It's cliche, but it's true.
It's true. And it makes sense why people say it. It's the truth. It's totally the truth. So that's definitely a big part of it. When I knew, okay, she's going to be either a really close friend or, a girlfriend or whatever in high school, was when actually it was, again, with Emily.
Yeah.
It was December-ish of my freshman year, and all the theater and choir kids all ate in one area of the building, ate lunch in one area of the high school, and I was sitting there and Emily walked up, oh, hi, Jack. Hey, this is Tiffany. Look at her foot. And I looked down and she's got, a missing big toe.
That's right. Like, I remember that.
Yeah. So it's like, this funny. Girl is hilarious. It's just,
she's unique.
Funny. She's unique. She's special. She's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, she can be annoying, but aren't we all, right? So
what does she say about you, Jack?
I don't know. God, I don't want to hear it. Yeah. I don't want to know. No, she is the most special person. And I never pictured myself being where I am, at least at this point in my life, maybe. I'm so fortunate that I've gotten through school. I have a really good job. I have somewhat of a career path lined up, but I just getting married, trying to start a family. It's crazy. And even with having, just getting the dog, when we got a dog a year and a half ago or whatever, it was like, I have another life to take care of, another being that can't take care of herself.
Exactly.
It's weird.
Yeah. Having a dog's a perfect first child.
I do agree. I think that's what everybody, it's kind of, people are kind of split on. If you have a dog, you'll have, easy kids. And then, a dog's so much easier than kids. So I really just don't know about, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all part of the adventure, right?
Yeah. This is funny. Okay. So, again, I want to really dive in a little bit, from a Gen Z standpoint, when you look at your parents and marriage. Yeah.
Sorry. I keep going off on it.
No. This is good. This is a conversation. It's what we do. It's how it's meant to be. I don't have a script. But how do Gen Zers, or how do you as a Gen Z look at marriage maybe differently than your parents? Marriage is for life, and yet marriage is the most humbling, difficult thing that we get into. And you're newly married. I've been married for a couple of days, but how do Gen Zers look at marriage, and how do you know it's going to last?
Speaking on that is hard. Coming from a child of divorce and a wife that's a child of divorce, we're all in on, hey, I don't really care what happens. We will not get divorced. We will not put kids through that. We wouldn't put other family members through that, any of that. Easier said than done, obviously.
Said than done, yep.
But I think that maybe as a Gen Zer is hard for me to say it, because I consider myself maybe an old soul. So I think, okay, focus on God, focus on marriage, family. The importance of all of this is number one. The importance of those circle. I don't know how to say it, but family, friends, God, marriage, life in general is really important to just keep that strong. So when you start talking divorce, it rings bells in my head of, oh, your parents were divorced or his parents were divorced, and 50% of parents are divorced, and the public safety field, there's some like outrageous percentages, like 59 or 60% of divorce rate and all that. And that's just the last thing on my mind. I mean, it's the forefront of my mind, but to do it or to make it happen, I would fight that till the ends of the earth to avoid that. Everybody fights. Everybody has struggles.
Thank you. Everybody fights.
Finding that balance is
right.
That's where you have to do that.
I've often noticed that, especially with social media, I wasn't born with a cell phone. Your generation was born with, literally, you came out of the womb and, hey, here's your cell phone. I know it's a little bit of a joke, but social media gives this impression that people just show the good parts of their life. So then we think that everyone else's life is perfect, but in reality, nobody's life is perfect.
Right.
So how do you, as Gen Zers who spend more time on social media, I'm not saying that older people don't, because now we're starting to.
No, yeah, right.
We all do.
Yeah.
We're all addicted to our cell phone. But I wasn't born with a cell phone. I didn't get a cell phone literally till I was 28, and it was a great big cell phone, like huge.
Brick, yeah.
It didn't have a camera on it.
It had one button.
One button, yeah. It was like this huge thing. So a lot's changed, but you were born with a cell phone, with social media. How do you, as a Gen Zer, deal with perception? It looks like everyone else in their life is going great, and in reality, my life isn't going great, but I might look at someone else and go, oh, my life sucks. So how does the Gen Zer not be so...
Navigate that.
Yeah, how do they navigate that? That's a great question.
I was born at that perfect time where it was like, oh, well, everybody's got a phone in their pocket, and then, I get a little older. Oh my gosh, everyone's got a TV in their pocket. Oh my gosh, everybody's got this big, huge computer in their pocket. So the only really thing I could speak on that is how big schools were on, this isn't real. None of this is real. You're only seeing positives. You have to seek out people on social media to see the negatives. The push for that was always really prevalent, at least in my opinion. So I am able to differentiate those things. I mean, occasionally I do see, even friends from high school that they're getting these great jobs and buying all these amazing cars and going on these trips. I think, oh, well, shoot, I sure wish I could have a supercar at 21 years old, but I don't. No big deal.
Yeah.
That's their life. They fight with their wife, or, they have struggles with their work and education and all that. It's also really humbling to remember. I've gone on like 3 trips this year, like big ones.
Good for you.
We're going to New York in a week. I'm not just sitting at home and working, or, right. I'm not miserable alone. I have to remind myself, hey, we do all of these amazing things. I'm so fortunate. And I think that's maybe part of it is my brain, and I'm able to, differentiate those things.
Yeah.
But the other part is like, I was raised under, this is fake. These pictures you see, these posts you see, it's a quarter of what people really live their life under. Yeah. Again, I think maybe that takes me back to the old soul thing a little bit, but I don't have a difficulty with that most of the time. I can't speak on other people. I would definitely say it's a very legitimate concern.
Yeah.
It ruins people's lives.
Yeah.
Something ticks in someone's brain that they change their view on themselves because of what they see on the phone, or on the social media.
Yeah. Well, I hear that's like the biggest cause of anxiety or depression is actually looking at someone else's life and wishing you could have their life. But what you're only seeing is only the good
right
that they're showing. But how much of it is, how much of their life are they not showing? I would also say, how does gratitude play out in your life? Because gratitude is actually not wanting someone else's life or not wanting what you don't have, but actually realizing what you actually do have. And what you said, I have a wife, I love her, and we have a pretty cool life. We're going to New York City and we do some pretty cool stuff. I'm not just sitting at home.
Right.
And how do you look at gratitude as just a way of maybe grounding you in what you can actually be joyful about?
I won't sit here and say, oh, I do work hard and I did work hard, but I cannot. I mean, it's a lie if I sat here and said I worked really hard to get where I am. I'm really, really fortunate. Like I said, I didn't pay a dime for college. I sat and did homework and then did whatever I want every day after school when I was in college, because I was fortunate enough to have an investment account set up for me when I was born. I am a trust fund baby.
Yeah.
3/4 of a trust fund baby.
Yeah.
It changed my opinion. Just, Monday I thought one thing and Tuesday I thought another, because I was raised, hey, Jack, you're going to college. You never have to worry about a thing. And then when I got there, it was like, well, Jack, you still are going to have to work. You still have to do college. You can't just skate by. And so I made sure to focus on things that bettered me, getting through school, doing school and work if I needed to. But I was always very grateful. I never took it as, oh, I earned this. I deserve this. I didn't. I was given everything I have. Now it's a little bit less and I'm doing things myself, obviously, but I am definitely not somebody who had to fight for their place. I've just been very fortunate. So I can say with my whole fiber of my being, I was raised well enough to say thank you and be appreciative, whether or not I was given everything. And that sounds horrible now that I say it out loud, but I shout out to mom and dad and grandparents. I was raised well. So the gratitude to me just comes easy. I don't worry. I don't have to scrim and save. I'm just thankful for it. It sounds wrong and it sounds selfish, but I'm not trying to be boastful when I say that, but I am so fortunate. And it set up a good baseline for me to be able to have a good work ethic and work hard enough to live the life I'd like to live. There's a difference. Back on the social media thing, there's a difference from being in Cabo every other weekend and, being able to eat out every night. To me, being able to eat out at a restaurant every night, that's living large,
Totally.
I can go to McDonald's 3 times a day if I want to. I remember in high school, I had to call my mom, can I have McDonald's money? Can I have lunch money? But now I just go whenever I want, and that to me is my success story, because I don't need a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a fancy car and all that, but it's out there and it'll happen eventually, Well,
it sounds like the way I see you, Jack, is a few things. You definitely live a simple life. You're grateful. You don't take for granted the lessons that your parents taught you and your grandparents. And I think you're actually crushing the stereotype of a Gen Zer. And I like that because, you Gen Zers are entitled. You're this and you're that. No, you're not.
It's definitely there. And they say with every stereotype, there is a sense of realism to it. I see it and I understand where it comes from. And I could just be talking out of nowhere and somebody else listening to this will be like, who does Jack think he is? I definitely have those moments, but at the end of the day, I can look at myself and be like, hey, I did good today. I'm successful. I'm here.
Yeah.
There are times, at my job, it's very rare, but there's times where it's like, wow, I'm really lucky to get out of that situation. I'm lucky I'm not injured, or I'm lucky I'm walking. There's times that happens. You get that little leg shake and you get the dry mouth when you got someone screaming in your face. It happens. So I can see all those things as being lucky. And on top of it, I've worked for it now, and I can enjoy the trappings of it.
Yeah. So how long have you worked for the casino?
I've been there for 2.5 years.
Okay. So you're really enjoying this time of your life, whether you stay forever or not, you're enjoying where you're at.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's my first full-time job, and going from a place like Western, like I was saying, it was really just a hangout session. I mean, it was like this. You just hang out with your guys. Going from Western being a hangout session every day to, okay, you're here. We have an attendance policy. You get your hours of break every day, or hour break every day. You have to follow these job politics, all that. And I was like, oh God, this place is hard to keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's normal. Everybody says it's normal. It's a job, whether you're at an office in a cubicle by yourself or sitting in the casino. It's gonna end up the same because there's politics everywhere. There's people that don't like you and that you don't like people, and navigating that is torrential waters, but you figured it out.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. And I just have to keep reminding myself of that.
That's good. Just people acclimate well. We start out something, it's like, oh, this is hard. A week or a month or a year later, like, this is easy. It's normal.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to convince our brain it's normal.
Yeah.
So I was here this morning at the rec, and there's a group that meets on Friday mornings, a Bible study group of young men. And one guy, Tristan, he went to high school.
Actually went to high school with him. Yeah.
He didn't know that, and you didn't know that until you walked in.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
I know you. But before you came in, it was funny. I go, hey, Tristan, what are some questions we could ask this guy Jack when he comes in? A Gen Zer, because you're a Gen Zer. And so here's 3 questions. Then he gave me a 4th one. First question is, when you think about kids, what do you think the hurdles are for raising children in today's generation? Because now that I know that you and Tiffany are trying to have a family, what's that look like for you guys? Does that scare you?
We kind of touched on the divorce thing. That's huge. It's huge for me, and I think it's probably even bigger for Tiffany.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing, work ethic, give kids the life of, they never have to worry, but they're still gonna work for it. They mow the lawn, clean the house, do the dishes, stuff like that. You can't go into parenthood expecting a little assistant, but if you do it right, you might get one. I don't know. You could probably speak on that better than I could, but
all right.
I've grown up around children, and my mom owned a preschool all my life up until like 2013.
Okay.
So I've grown up around education and children and all that, and I've always been focused on wanting to be a parent. I just will give half of my life my kids will have, and the other half we'll work our hardest not, with parental difficulties or family difficulties.
Yeah.
I've always thought my kids won't struggle, but they will have a good work ethic and they'll work for it.
It's good.
It's a little convoluted, but
I was going to say, the lesson I learned from my parents, life wasn't perfect, by the way, but they were good parents. And 2 things, they loved me unconditionally. And yes, I got beatings when I needed them,
there's that older generation coming out here. We don't get that.
You're getting a spanking. Okay, cool. But the main thing I think my dad and mom taught me was work ethic. It's the one thing that nobody can take away. And that was a struggle. Son, you're going to mow the yard. And back then we had like a half-acre yard,
right,
and it's a push mower, and you're going to chop the wood. And so, but that's how I grew up. And so raising kids, I didn't want their life to be easy because life is not easy on people. And so if I'm going to make life easy for my kids, they're going to struggle even worse. So the best thing I can do is, hey, we have chores, we have responsibilities. And I think my only advice for you, Jack, is love your kids unconditionally, teach them truth, biblical truth, and teach them how to work.
Yeah.
Like, there's no free lunch, kids.
Right.
What? Yeah, no free lunches. So anyway, I don't want to go off on my rant.
I completely agree.
But I can see in your life, your parents and your grandparents taught you work ethic.
Yeah.
So
it's always got to be there.
Yeah. One question was, do you invest in cryptocurrency?
Yes. A little bit.
All right. Which platform?
I was into the Dogecoin, like right when it started to kind of blow up.
Tristan will laugh because he was totally into Dogecoin.
So I think we all probably were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was into that quite a bit, and we actually bought our dog with Dogecoin. So cashed out like a good chunk of it, and
boom,
got a dog with it. So, but other than that, no, I'm not into cryptocurrency. I'm into the old school investments. And
what got you out of cryptocurrency, and then what are you investing in now?
It got so busy. I didn't really care to learn about that. My investing kind of came from like, oh, well, you have, a Roth IRA. You put money into it once a year and then you forget about it. Yep. And then you do it again the next year.
Yep.
And I spoke with a investment, whatever you call them. And he said, well, I want to set this account up with you. I want to get to know you. What are your goals and what are your investment goals? And I said, well, I want to have a Ferrari when I retire. And he goes, we can do better than that. So that gave me a little bit of positive, reinforcement to think, all right, well, I'll do a little better than a Ferrari. I think you're doing just fine. So that's big on that. But I am definitely here's my money, you do it investor. Yeah. Do whatever you need to get me rich down the road. So I don't have to
wise,
bother,
man. Yeah. You're trusting the system. You're being a good steward of your money, and you're not dabbling. Cryptocurrency, you can dabble. And I saw many people, even millionaires and billionaires, go broke.
Yeah.
The whole Sam Bankman-Fried. What was that?
What was that guy's name? Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but
yeah,
I definitely like the idea of it because there was a little bit of a gamble to it, but you don't gamble what you're not able to lose.
Right.
So
that's right. Because that's part of what you mentioned.
Yep.
Like you said, I'm a gambler, but in a good way. Ha ha. Talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Never gamble more than you can lose.
Hey, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, don't gamble on margin.
Right. Exactly. You don't go into a situation and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna win today. I can't buy lunch because I'm gotta go gamble. I'm gonna win today. I see that, especially after working at the casino.
Because you work in the casino, man.
Yeah. I was like this, right when I turned 21, it was like this is going to be my life is gambling. And whether or not, it was something that kind of started to grow, or I just became interested in it. So I saw more of it. I saw all kinds of casino stuff, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. I saw that and it's like that degenerate lifestyle is so cool. And then it's like, no, it's really not, because now I see it.
Ooh.
I see these guys coming in with, their ratty pants and shoes and they just lose everything,
I bet their mortgage payment on.
Yeah. And I can't imagine. So I go into a casino if I am going to spend some money, and it's like, I'm going to lose it. And if I win, it's great, but I'm going to lose it. So I mean, for example, we went to Canada in July.
Yeah.
I said, I want to stop off at this casino that's there in Vancouver. It was this big, beautiful casino, the Park, Vancouver, and went in and I was like, oh, they have a poker room. I'll sit down and play. I always lose. I say, oh, I enjoy poker so much. I'm so great at it. I lose all the time. I never win. So I sit down at this poker table and I was like, oh my gosh, maybe it's just because the Canadians are so nice, but I'm sitting here winning, and I see where that ticks in someone's brain. They're like, I will never lose. I'm the best. Because then I lost, and that happens. I did leave the casino with money. I never leave the casino with money. I left the casino with about a half of what I went in with.
Okay.
So I was proud of myself, little goals, meet those little goals, but I'm always ready to lose it. And that's where gambling becomes a problem. So when I say gambler in a good way, because I don't ever go hungry, I guess is my point to that.
You gamble what you want, what you agree that you're going to lose.
Right.
And you had fun.
And I had a great time.
Yep. There you go.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Got it. Well, dude, this has been fun. This is good to know you a little bit more. We'll hear your story.
Yeah.
I think this message can be great for a lot of millennials to, I guess, know that you guys are appreciated.
Yeah. You
are the next generation that we need to pour into and not blame you and think you're entitled.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. It's just, but I actually love millennials. They have a great perspective. And so what is, as we wrap up, maybe what are some thoughts that you want to leave us with? What are some of those visions that you have for Tiffany and marriage and kids? Is there a trip that you want to take? Give us something that you're thinking of.
Yeah. Like we kind of touched on, I'm working into getting a career in law enforcement.
Yeah.
it has been hard. It's a long process. You start with an interview. Well, you start with a big application to begin with, and then you get an interview. And then if they like you in the interview, they generally say, okay, here's a piece of paper. This is what we want to pay you. This is what you have to do to have a job. And it says you have to pass your big, long background investigation, and you have to pass a psych evaluation and a medical evaluation and a drug test and all that.
Yeah.
But the background investigation is what is big. So, for example, I got an offer with a department, had to go through the background evaluation process, and after completing the digital binder, basically, at the end was about 218 pages with 35 documents I had to upload, and pieces of paper that had to be filled out, and 30 relatives and 6 references and all that stuff. Just every time you've sneezed almost is how it feels, filling that stuff out. And I thought, okay, I got this. I've focused really hard and I've tried really hard and I've had all this experience at the casino and they're going to love me. A couple weeks later, you get the call. Unfortunately, we're not going to be moving you forward. And that's super humbling. Because it's like you're telling everybody, and I'm going to be a police officer, and I'm so excited, and I've worked and wanted this for so long. And then you got to go do the tail tucked between your legs lap and be like, well, unfortunately, it didn't work out. All right, God, what do I need to do? Pray, think about it, read, better yourself. Okay, a couple months goes by. Let's try it again. Nope. Same thing. And that happened, All right, God, this is getting tough, man. I can't do this again. Can't handle this again. Give me the right opportunity. All right, one more time. Let's try it. All right, this department said, they like me. They said, hey, we want to bring you on. This is time. Same thing, and that was just this week. So okay. It's the most humbling thing in the world. And every time it's like, ugh, God's not there for me. Ooh, the second you say it, it's like, ooh, even just saying it as a story. Yeah. It's like, oh, watch it, man.
Careful, bro.
Watch it, man. So working that out, even when you're angry.
Yeah.
Careful, man, because that'll come back to bite you.
Yeah.
It's not something you want to mess with too much. So
do you believe God has a plan for you through this? Even though he's teaching you some humility and he's not opened that door yet, where are you at with all that?
Now that it's been a couple days, I'm back to that thought. There is that plan. That's not my job to have, and it's not my job to decide when that happens. I've known forever it's God's job. What God prepares, it's all laid out. It's not your decision to make. It's going to happen when it happens. And right when you get that no thanks but no thanks, it's like nobody's out there for me. I'm surrounded by the world, but alone. And that's how it feels. And then 2 days later, where I am now, it's like, okay, I'm good. And God has a plan. But finding that when you're there, right there when it happens, you got to find that. And that's the most important thing.
Easier said than done.
Right, exactly.
When we're not in it and you're in it, just, trust in the Lord. And that's all easy. That's fine until you're in it. So
right.
I like that. I mean, you're being transparent about the journey.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. And it doesn't mean God has left you. It doesn't mean Jesus still didn't die for you. He did. Right. But he's got a plan for you, and it's in his timing. And will we wait upon him and just trust in him?
It's something you just got to keep reminding yourself of every day, good, bad, and ugly. Right?
Yeah. Hey, Jack, this has been encouraging, by the way. I love this. I love that you're a young guy, struggling through life like the rest of us. Me too. And I've got a few years on you, right?
A little bit.
But God's good. But I appreciate the time. And, we're going to wrap up. But thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'll be praying for you. I'll be watching you. And, I can't wait to see what happens, what God does for you, open those doors, if and when he does.
Yeah.
So.
And if he doesn't, he's still there.
That's right. Even if he doesn't, he's still there. So, well, thank you for all who are listening this week. We appreciate you. Appreciate you listening to Jack's story. I hope that will impact you in some way. We know it will impact someone, we just don't know who. But reach out. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to get a review from you, maybe on Jack's story. What did it mean to you? How did it impact you? And thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.